Hello and welcome to another Passive Life video. This time we are taking a deeper look at the Tesla Cybertruck and its potential use of solar. As many of you will already know, some time ago Tesla announced a solar option for the Cybertruck, with Elon claiming that the Cybertruck could add up to 50 miles of range per day. Adding solar to such a beast of a vehicle might seem ridiculous at first glance, and I have to admit that I dismissed it as pure marketing, but the more that I thought about it, the more it seemed to make sense. So I decided to do some simulations to see if Elon's claims were at all realistic. It's clear that Tesla calculated these 15 miles of range under optimal conditions. What is not so clear is exactly how they came to that number. Online there seems to be a fair amount of debate and quite a lot of ridiculous claims on both sides. Some Tesla haters claim that there are only 2 meters squared of collector area, and on the other side Tesla fanboys are sometimes claiming up to 6 meters squared of collector area with 25% efficiency panels and vehicle efficiencies closer to that of a Tesla Model 3 than a truck. After reading all this nonsense on both sides, I decided it was time that someone looked at it properly, so here is a more sober look at the data. The real argument for solar integration to the Cybertruck is the long periods of time the truck will be spending standing around in a field or yard. You can't put a charging socket everywhere, and lots of trucks are used for transporting heavy goods relatively short distances. And if your Cybertruck is just sitting around in a field, it may as well be refilling its battery while it sits there. So let's look at some data. Unfortunately, a lot of this data is going to have to be educated guesswork, so take the results with a pinch of salt. The rear hatch collector area for the Cybertruck is around about 3.08 meters squared in size. I took 5% off this area for the gaps between the solar cells, which left me with a usable area of 2.92 meters squared. It is also tilted at an angle of about 7.5 degrees, which to maximize the result is directed towards the sun. The solar cell efficiency I set to 20%, which could be possible and result in a panel of 584 watts. We don't have any official data for the Cybertruck, just Tesla's predicted data, which is normally fairly accurate. The claimed efficiency of the Cybertruck is 4.02 kilometers per kilowatt hour, or just under 2.5 miles per kilowatt hour. No PV system is 100% efficient, so I've calculated all this with a 10% loss rate. Lastly, I chose California, which is the sunniest place I could find in the US to base these calculations, and I also did calculations for the far north based in Oslo, Norway, which has a very similar latitude to Anchorage. So how did they turn out? Well, not as well as I'd hoped, but not disastrous either. In short, the best performing month in terms of kilowatt hours generated would be in June, where an average of 3.47 kilowatt hours can be generated daily. Using the efficiency to convert this to range, it comes out at 13.52 kilometers per day, or 8.4 miles. Not bad, but far off the possible 24 kilometers or 15 miles suggested by Elon. So it looks like the roof will definitely have to be part of the Cybertruck's collection area so that we can hit Elon's claimed number. This would give us an additional 2.15 meters squared of collector area, resulting in 1.014 kilowatts peak. In June, this would give us an average of 24.36 kilometers of range per day in California, or 15.14 miles. And these are just the daily average results. Technically, more would be possible on a perfect cloudless day. In Oslo, in the far north, you can expect up to 19 kilometers per day through June, but this would obviously bottom out completely during the much darker winter months. So it definitely looks like this may be the final Tesla Cybertruck solar solution. If we add it all together, then we can get the yearly figures. For California, this would total around 6,891 kilometers, or 4,282 miles from the solar, and in Oslo, 3,403 kilometers, or 2,115 miles. Perhaps a more meaningful number is the yearly percentage. What percentage of total distance does this make up for the average user over a whole year? Well, the average American drives just over 14,200 miles per year, so we're talking about 30% of the annual distance, which is pretty impressive. EU drivers, on the other hand, cover only about 7,000 miles per year, or 11,300 kilometers. So if California was in the EU, we could expect about 61% of the total yearly range, which would be awesome. But for Oslo in the far north, it only makes up about 30% of the total annual distance, so somewhere between 55 and 30% depending on how far south you live in Europe. Which, let's be honest, is very impressive indeed. Elon also mentioned fold-out wings that could generate up to 30 to 40 miles of range per day, and these would have to increase the total power to between 2.5 and 3 kilowatts peak. Seeing as this would mean the Cybertruck would not be able to drive, it does beg the question of whether or not it would just be easier to allow the owners to plug in some standard portable solar panels and save on the construction and engineering costs of complex fold-out wings. Either way, the numbers show that Elon's promised range should be easily possible, at least in some areas of the world. That's it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like and subscribe. That really helps out the channel. For anybody that really wants to support the channel, I have now launched my Patreon site, so feel free to check that out in the link below. And lastly, if you're looking for a VPN service, then please check out NordVPN using the link below. That will save you a lot of money on their double VPN service. I have been using them for many years, and not only do they help protect my connection, the VPN service also allows me to connect to many news sites around the world, which helps create videos like this. Thanks very much for your time, and I will see you guys in the next video.